Hello, everybody. This is Radio Entrepreneurs. My name again is Jeffrey Davis. And for those of you who've been turning in the last few weeks, our viewership is way up because despite COVID, people are still trying to do business and finding new ways to do business. And if you're looking for new ways to do business, this is a good show to tune into. Our next guest, regular with us on Radio Entrepreneurs, you now see his wonderful face and earbuds, John Anastasi. Founding partner, Lando Anastasi. Welcome.
Good morning. Thanks
Hey,
for having me.
I'm hearing that clients in firms like yours are quite busy. What are you doing right now to deal with adjusting to the economy?
Well, many things really. First, like everyone else, we're now completely virtual, right? So the entire office is at home, and no one's really in the office unless they need to go in for essential reasons like pick up mail, that sort of stuff. So, like every other probably law firm, we're completely virtual, and every other company, we're probably except for essential workers, we're completely virtual. But that's not such a big transition in our field, the IP field. Most of our work with our clients is typically electronic anyways, maybe usually email, and even working with internationally with agents around the world or the respective patent offices, etc. Even the courts are starting to come around, but for the most part, even before the COVID situation came down, we were well positioned to do work electronically, primarily by email, sometimes by telephone. But this platform that we're on, for example, now is quite enlightening. I love it, and so that's one thing now that we're doing as a firm. For example, we have firm meetings, partner meetings weekly. We have firm-wide meetings weekly, and quite frankly, I'm using this platform now to reach out to clients and to network. I'm probably during this time right now, I think you need to be more visible than ever, and that means with your clients, but not just with your clients, but with everyone. I'm networking more now via this platform, and frankly, I'm trying to help people, not just clients. I'm trying to help people through, in any way I can. And a lot of times by having these conversations.
Well, that's good. And I would think that your clientele relative to a lot of law firms, because they're in the technology IP space, actually have a lot more millennials than the average clients. And so that your clients actually were pretty glad to stay home and to continue to work, remotely, because that's probably what a lot of them were doing anyway.
The clients, depends on the client, right? So the entrepreneurial ones, yes. We actually, so we're in Cambridge, or we were in Cambridge. We just moved to Boston, but we have still some space that we have in Cambridge, and we were going to sublease some of that space to a startup. And that startup essentially said, well, we don't really need the space anymore because it's not critical for us to begin with. It's not really, we don't need to have space. And with the whole lockdown by the state and the governor and the social distancing requirements, frankly, we'll just go back to doing business the way we were already doing it. I mean, they wanted space, but it wasn't critical for them. So for entrepreneurial clients, that are used to maybe, except for maybe in sort of the community spaces like the CIC or what have you, they're kind of used to doing business this way anyways. It's the institutional clients, the larger clients, that I think are maybe struggling more with this type of environment, because maybe they're not so well positioned to have the entire workforce, thousands of employees at home. So we're seeing a little bit of that, and we have some pretty large institutional clients, and communications are somewhat strained. They're not as frequent as I would like to see them, but I think that might just, I don't know if that's a function of their challenge to work remotely, or the fact that because we're all working remotely, we have different challenges at home, for example.
I'm wondering about new projects, the IP world, is have things slowed down in the initiation of new projects with companies? Is it mostly that you're functioning on older projects?
Uh, we have it's a combination of things. So I would say generally the IP space is a lagging indicator of the economy. So we're always behind. However, in this situation, that lag is almost instantaneous. Our larger clients, my larger clients, our larger clients, they've reached out and said, you know, our budget just took a major hit. We don't have sales, our stores are closed, what have you. We need to, and IP is not an essential component of that for us right now. So we need to slash our budget. We need to cut our IP work and do the bare minimum, keep stuff alive, but not do things we don't necessarily need to do right now. So we're seeing some of that, no doubt. But this is a time of innovation, right? There's a lot of people innovating right now for the obvious reasons, like to find, for example, testing, or vaccinations or those sorts of things. So those or healthcare,
Medical.
medical, a lot of work going on in the medical space. So those clients are innovating and they need to protect. And so that's obvious. So we're seeing some of that. But then also this platform, for example, or the fact that this working dynamic is creating new opportunity, not only new opportunities and innovation, but concerns. Okay, so am I protecting? What are my employees doing? Am I uh, if they're creating IP, is it protected or is it secure through this type of a platform? Or clauses in contracts where you have a contract now that force majeure clauses or those sorts of things. All these things are becoming questions, or software contracts, or I'm not, and I'm not a real estate attorney, but I've seen the question a lot. Do I have to pay rent? That's a big question that real estate attorneys, I'm sure, are fielding. So these type of dynamics we're seeing a lot more of right now.
I'm going to go back to something you said earlier. You triggered me. You talked about IP, but I'm an ex J&J employee, and companies are now sort of sharing their technology prior to having IP, right? Some of these kind of medical companies, which is good
Right.
for the general public.
Right.
You have thoughts about that and how we're going to sort of roll back and get protection when this is done, or are we just never going to have protection in those areas?
Well, so some of our clients are doing that, right? We have, like, for example, Mark Forge is a 3D printing company, one of our clients, and they've already protected their printing devices. So, but now they're repurposing them. They're using them, for example, to print shields or masks or what have you, right? So they're repurposing the equipment they have, and maybe there's some IP in there because they're using them in a different way, and so. But they're running so fast they haven't had time to protect it. So that maybe they forewent some rights in doing that. But there's like a grace period in the U.S. For example, you have a year from when you first do something in the public domain to still protect. So more than likely, even though a lot of companies are using their resources or innovating or what have you, they're likely still to be able to protect, and I'm sure they're reaching out to their IP attorneys to do so.
Right. John, always appreciate your insights in terms of technology, IP, and those things. If somebody is working and looking for help in that area, and Lando and Anastasi, how would they find you?
Well, so our website is www.lalaw, like the TV show.
Good show.
Great show. And I'm showing my age we're showing our ages, I guess, if we know the show. The millennials don't. When I give that domain name to some people, they don't know what the significance of it. And then my phone number, for example, is 617-395-7001. And my email address is janastasi, ANASTASI @lalaw.com.
Well, I thought it was a great show, but again, I liked Boston Legal better because
Right.
it just put a smile on my face. I think we have Chris Gerald, one of our producers, was watching it for a while. Again, if someone's looking for me, my name is Jeffrey Davis. I'm at Radio Entrepreneurs, but really I'm at MAGE LLC, management consulting firm. doing a lot of work with companies in transition in this economy. My email is the letter J, Davis at mageusa.com. John, I look forward to talking to you again. Stay healthy.
You too.
And
Stay
I'll
healthy,
remind
everybody.
everybody, yes, sorry.
I said, everybody be safe, be well. Thanks for having me on the show. Thanks for the opportunity.
You'll be back again, and remind everybody this is Radio Entrepreneurs. Keep tuning in. More stories about how companies are adapting and dealing with this economy. Look forward to our next interview.